Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. The one that started it all. Think about this. This movie came out in 1977. Alright? That's almost 40 years ago. And still holds up today. I mean, special effects. I mean, everything looks pretty incredible. We get introduced to iconic characters that people who don't even know Star Wars, I mean, most people know Star Wars, but even ones that don't know some of these characters. Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Chewbacca, C-3PO, R2-D2, Darth Vader. I mean, these characters are timeless and so iconic and so interesting that alone, the introduction of these characters, propels this movie to a whole nother level. This movie takes place 19 years after the events of Episode 3, if you want to keep in chronological order there. So the Empire is pretty much king. There is a rebellion force, but this is probably the beginning of where the rebels start to take power in this movie. We start off with a cool scene, Princess Leia getting, she's just gotten the plans stolen. Interesting story behind that we may find out in the movie Rogue One. Apparently that's what that movie's about. Darth Vader boards the ship. She puts the plans into R2-D2, and they escape to Tatooine, and Vader takes her to the Death Star, the new space station the Empire's built that has the power to destroy planets. R2-D2 and C-3PO go through a few goofy moments, but then they end up on the farm with Luke Skywalker and his aunt and uncle. R2-D2 runs away. He goes after him. Meet up with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Everybody knows the story. One of the things that has always confused me, especially after prequels came out, this might just be a small story oversight, but Obi-Wan acts like he doesn't recognize R2-D2, and in the prequels, you can clearly tell that he would recognize that droid. I mean, that droid saved his life and is an integral part of those movies. Probably even would recognize C-3PO. So I understand why the droids don't recognize him, because they have their memory wiped. But it's weird that Obi-Wan doesn't recognize R2-D2. Anyways, they decide to try to get the plans to Alderaan. When they get there, they realize Alderaan's been blown up because Darth Vader blew it up. They get sucked into the Death Star. They go in and try and rescue Leia. Obi-Wan goes to turn off the tractor beam. One of my complaints, there's very few complaints about this movie, but the fight scene between Obi-Wan and Vader in this movie is pretty pathetic. I mean, I'm guessing there's no real fight choreography, and special effects and things at the time probably weren't that great, so you could kind of forgive it for that. But Obi-Wan basically loses, I guess. I mean, he has that memorable quote, "If you strike me down now, I will only become stronger." Basically, he becomes a Force ghost, which is pretty cool. They get Leia. Leia brings the plans to the Rebel base. They track Han Solo on the end there. You get to see. I forgot to mention Han Solo. One of the best characters is introduced in this. He's a smuggler, but charming, and played by Harrison Ford. Anyways, they get to the rebel base. The Death Star's coming. They have to launch an attack with those plans they stole. And it's a pretty simple story. It's the uh, world and the characters around the story that are brought infinite possibilities, and people became so obsessed. And there's a story that goes with every character. There's a every planet. It's basically what started a franchise that will probably never die. This movie did. Luke blows up the Death Star with some last second hope from Han Solo. We get it has let's just talk about all the good things. It's got amazing music. Okay, John Williams again. I mean, it's got some of the most iconic music. The world would be probably more to do with the fact of the technology back in the day, but everything is practical effects. It has a very lived-in type feel to it compared to the prequels, which is because of CG and things, the world looks very clean. Um, but maybe you could look at it as now we've had 30 or 20 years of the Empire. Um, you know, life sucks now, and so that's maybe the look that we're getting. Um, you get Darth Vader is one of the most iconic villains ever. I mean, he's truly evil. I'm gonna give this movie a 5 out of 5, a perfect score. Besides some minor technology things, there's really nothing wrong with this movie.